Oh,
Hi
hello there.
there.
Welcome to Today's Lunch and Learn series. Today we have Babiya Polk, who will be presenting on crafting your personal brand from invisible to influential. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Revel IT as well as RDMC for helping us have these Lunch and Learn series. I'll now turn it over to Babiya, who will be presenting today. Take it away.
Thank you, Vinny. And Rini, I do appreciate the invite. I've been looking forward to this for months. And just to let all of you know, full discretion, this is my official first public speaking opportunity. I've always wanted to do this. It's been on my bucket list. So I appreciate Rini for allowing me to make it be the first with your organization. With that said, my name is Babiya Polk, and my topic is going to be about crafting your personal brand from invisible to influential. Just to let you know, again, I'm not a brand expert, marketing expert, but I'm doing this through my own experience in the 13 years in my career and what has helped me grow to be from invisible to influential in my career, in my industry, in my networks, and so on. So this is pretty much my personal brand that I'm sharing with you, and some research that I have done also to make this be more of a takeaway with validation to my experience. And I'm open to questions. Please interrupt me if you want to. I can't see you, so just either speak up, or if Rini can wants to let me know, hey, Bobby, pause for a minute. And I'll try to pause throughout my opportunity speaking with you too as well. Thank you. So I have my topics that I will be speaking about and highlighting. I'm going to do my best to give examples also in each of the topics to kind of bring it home and make it more of a takeaway practical thing that hopefully you are able to initiate and implement in your career path. So my introduction, I am the founder and CEO of One Degree Benefits, which has become this year certified as a minority business, a woman business, and also with EDGE. So I'm very proud of myself this year of creating my company. I've been doing this for 13 years, but I've never officially structured myself as an actual company, an LLC. So One Degree Benefits is my company. I originally was born in Kayunga, Uganda, in East Africa. Came here when I was 10. English is not my first language, so I had to learn English. When I arrived in Kent, Ohio, is where I arrived from Kayunga, Uganda. Some other things about me, I'm the second VP of NAWBO, which is a National Association of Women Business Owners, and I'm also a board member of HRACO, which is Human Resource Association of Central Ohio. I also want to talk about some fun facts about me. One of them is most current fun fact I have is I participated in Dancing with the Columbus Stars in 2023, and this was raising money through the Byron Saunders Foundation. Meals for Thanksgiving for those who are in need in our community.
And
2017.
I can vouch she's got rhythm.
If you do want to see my actual performance, it is on my Facebook if you connect with me, and you can see it there if you want to be nosy. 2017, I was voted by the public as TV One's Ultimate Diva. This is when my youngest daughter submitted my application without me knowing. So I was forced to participate in this contest, and I actually ended up being in first place on it. Another proud fact is in 2015, I became a US citizen, even though I've been here for, I'm gonna say about 30 plus years. I just never had the desire to become a citizen, so to speak. I had some political issues that I had about it, but finally, my mother kind of called me, sent me a check and said, you are going to do this. So I did. Another fun fact about me people are not aware of is I used to be a welder before I got into the benefits insurance industry. And I was a welder at Honda, actually. So I got trained to do that. So that's probably a fun fact that I can install wind glass, tires, and weld, actually. I am a mother of two girls, grown, 25 and 30, a grandmother of four grandchildren. Three of them are girls and one boy, and they're very active in cheerleading and football. And last but not least, and you kind of saw him and helped me out, my life partner, Matt, of 18 years. And the reason I'm showing this and saying these fun facts, it's another way of branding yourself so people can know a little bit more about you, what makes you tick, what you like to do, your passion, your fun stuff, and so on. So I always like to bring that up when I'm speaking or just even talking with individuals on a one-on-one basis. So our first thing we'll talk about in the topic is defining your unique value proposition, and I like to call it UVP. And what is a UVP? It's your unique value proposition, which is a promise you make to your audience or your target market about the value that they will receive from you or working with you. It's what differentiates you from others in your field by showcasing your strengths, skills, and how you solve specific problems. And this is very important to know this because you want to make it short, sweet, and simple. You're kind of getting their attention, want them to know more, educate them more. And sometimes, hopefully, you get that next action of, you know what, we should sit down and talk more about this over coffee or what have you. So ways you can define your UVP, and again, your unique value proposition, is identify your strengths, understand your target market needs, show how you add value, and highlight your differentiators. To me, I think the last two are very important because that's pretty much what's going to catch someone's attention and really clearly understand of what you can bring to the table and why you. So here's an example, and I was trying to do some into similar industries that you work with. So here's an example. I'm a software engineer who specializes in building scalable applications that solve real world problems. My passion lies in optimizing user experience through clean code and efficient design. And then this person gives an example. I recently led a project that reduced server response time by 30%, significantly improving our clients' system performance. So this one is pretty much showing your skill set, differentiator, what you've done to make yourself set yourself apart from others, and trying to make that more in like in a 30-second type of spill, if you want to say. Another example, which would use me, as an insurance broker, I focus on providing tailored solutions that protect individuals and businesses from unforeseen risks. What sets me apart is my ability to simplify complex insurance policies, helping clients make a confident decision. Just last month, I secured a policy that saved a business 15% on their premiums while increasing their coverage. So that right there is hopefully getting someone's attention. You're educating them, trying to give them some highlights that's going to set you again apart from why you versus Jane. Last one, I bridge the gap between marketing and technology, helping businesses leverage the latest digital tools to enhance their marketing efforts. By implementing automation and analytics solutions, I enable companies to streamline their campaigns and gain real-time insights. One of my clients saw a 40% increase in lead generation after integrating a custom CRM solution I developed. This is kind of, I stole this one from my Matt, actually. So the next topic area to focus on is creating your brand narrative. And I'm going to define what I mean by that. Defining your core values. Your core values are the guiding principles that shape how you conduct yourself, both professionally and personally. It reflects on what motivates you, your ethical standards you uphold, how these align with your career goals. Understanding your values also help you communicate authenticity and build trust with your audience or your target market. So some examples of what can reflect your core values is, your integrity, any innovation you may have, any collaboration or leadership. It could also mean community responsibility that you have, what volunteering you do, as an example. These are bringing some core values about you that define you that can implement it into your professional life as well as your personal life. Now, most of you know about a mission statement. That's pretty much marketing 101, pretty much. This is a clear and concise declaration of who you are, what you do, and why you do it, basically. Your mission statement should communicate a purpose and how you aim to make a difference in your industry or your community. Here's an example. I help small businesses grow by implementing innovative marketing strategies that increase customer engagement and also drive sales.
So, Bobby, for some of us who are not, small business owners or have ownership to any business,
Yes.
you know, I see your example being useful as a mission statement right on top of a resume, for example, if you're
Oh,
applying
good
for a
point.
job, right?
Yes. That is a very good point I did not even think about. So yes, that's correct. This is another way of resumes interviewing too as well. Because a
Right,
lot of times people say, "So tell me about yourself."
right,
And you don't want to say, well, I grew up here, graduated there, have two kids and a dog. You kind of want to set something that tells about you. I'm motivated, I'm driven about community services, I'm about nonprofits. Um, if you're more, some people are more into the, how should I say it, environment.
right,
These are things that could, and that could be a reason why you're sitting in front of this person interviewing for an opportunity because it's aligned to what you are and believe in as well. So these are very important things, and that's a very good point that you bring up, Renee, that this is something that can be even used in resume writing, on your LinkedIn profile, any of your social feeds that you may have too as well, that can really define you without meeting you, as
right.
an example. Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
other comments or feedback? The other area is your target audience, defining who they are and trying to reach with your personal brand. This could be industry professionals, potential employers, clients, thought leaders. Understanding who your target is going to also help you with your messaging. I know when I first started an insurance career, and I was never in sales, so I sucked in sales. I knew my products in and out. I knew how they could help, all of that, but I sucked in sales. And my problem was I was using the same pitch no matter what door I went through, no matter who answered the phone on the other end. I was using the same messaging, not knowing that that's why I wasn't getting appointments. That's why people weren't engaged. That's why people weren't asking questions. I was not hitting their pain points. And it's good to know your industry because then you know what the common pain points, even in the industry itself, is facing. You may not know personally in that particular company of that industry, but if you know enough that you can kind of catch their attention, I like to call it interrupt them, then that's when you know you're on the right path. The next
Do,
thing will
do
be,
you, I was just wondering, can we focus here? Like maybe
yeah,
ask people in the audience, like if anybody wants to share as to what they think their target audience is.
absolutely. And I can't see anyone hands up or
Okay.
anything. So if you want to unmute or really guide that for me.
Jen or Vinny, any thoughts? Anybody? Okay, I think everybody's eating. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, this is Deshanae.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Babiya. As a
Hey,
small business
Deshanae.
owner, I do have target audiences, and it kind of started just kind of organically within the hospitality industry, but that's kind of taken off into like the FAA, and so it's I don't know, it's been a little I mean, it's been great, but it's been a little different just because of the connection there and, you know, like the
Mm-hmm.
trust that's built and things of that sort. But for right now, I would say my target audience is definitely within the hospitality space as an HR professional,
Mm-hmm.
providing, you know, the services that I do provide. So I have that built out, but at the same token, because I do come from the corporate world, um, those could potentially be my target audiences too. It's just a matter of like, how do I align that?
So when I first started out in my career in insurance, I did not have a target audience. I was just like, I'm just happy if anyone just talks to me, to be honest. And it's funny because it was the flip side. I end up knowing who my target audience is based on my clientele base. And I noticed it was two things. In the beginning, it was home health cares and um, businesses that were starting up and they've been in business maybe 5 years or less, and now they're ready to offer something of a benefit. Those are my two areas. So then I focused and honed on those two areas the most because I seem to have my messaging and crafting right in that area and what I was offering of what I call, I don't sell products, I sell solutions is what I was saying. No, hearing what their problems were that they're trying to resolve or make better. And then I would say, here's a way that you can retain and attract and be competitive in your industry. You know, and then this is how we can help you do this by offering these type of products that will help with this part and so on. So mine was more of an organic way. And a lot of times that does happen in the beginning with, especially with startup businesses, they think this is what and who they are. And then they end
Right.
up realizing we're attracting these other types of clients instead. And that's when you may have to relook what your messaging is, relook what your branding is, and so on. But thank you for sharing that,
Yeah,
Dejanay.
absolutely. Thank you.
Any other feedback or comments to share? Okay.
He's right. I'm eating pizza. This is
Okay.
Lisa. Hi.
Hi.
So one of the challenges that I'm curious how you've dealt with, and apologies for being a little bit late here and catching up with, you know, sharing your mission, your vision. You're talking about messaging towards individual people. Um, Now, job seekers have a very similar target audience as I do in a lot of ways. So there is a lot of overlap. How do you
Mhm.
strategically change your message, especially when you're talking about maybe just an outbound efforts towards someone in the C-suite versus the hiring manager versus HR departments? Because you deal with a lot of this breadth as well. I guess, how do you go about fine tuning some of that?
In the messaging part,
Yep, in the messaging, or sometimes you just do have general outbound messaging, whether that's through events or you do a lot of networking or
okay.
LinkedIn, whatever it may be, where it is a little bit of a blanket statement.
Sometimes what I do is it's like a test and measure type of thing. A lot of times, like for example, I may get a random call coming in. Um, I'm looking for disability. And a lot of times I say, so how did you hear about me? Or how did you know of me? And if it's a referral, or I Googled, or I saw your LinkedIn and you talked about da da da, I tried to see what was the source that motivated them to reach out to me. And that's important for me to know, because if I'm getting more calls or more emails from my LinkedIn versus what I'm posting, or versus I went to a network and presented, I want to know so that I know where I need to fine tune or make better, or just get rid of it altogether if it's not working. But that's what I do a lot, is I test and measure, and I ask, and if it was in your situation, Lisa, is those candidates that are coming to you, are they coming to you because they're trying to fine tune their interviewing skills? Are they coming to you because they're needing assistance of where to look for opportunities in the industry I'm in versus my resume, whatever it is? So sometimes it's asking them the questions of the who, what, when, why, or how, to help you identify again of how you are reaching out, or how how the perception of you is to them, in your recruiting efforts. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you. Sounds like just asking more questions. It's kind of a theme that I've been working with lately. Yep.
And sometimes it's just asking your peers also too, that this is my end goal I'm trying to do, and this is how I'm doing it. What do you think? Well, how do you feel? Or why am I still getting the same old of this? And I do that with my own peers too as well. It's like my goal was trying to get companies that are 100-man group, but I keep getting the companies that are in the 50 less employee group, and it could be just another set of eyes, to kind of look at it through a different lens.
Awesome.
Great question. Thank you, Lisa. Any other concerns before comments before I move to the next about building your online presence? Okay. So building your online presence, this is the one I struggled with the most starting out in my career, because believe it or not, I did not believe in social media, didn't want no interest in it, next to the networking. So I was forced to create a LinkedIn, and my first opportunity of offering benefits was through AFLAC first, and AFLAC required that you had a social presence, which means you need a Facebook, you need a Instagram or a Twitter, with your LinkedIn. So I did not like the fact. I felt, I'm a private person, believe it or not, but I know most of you probably don't think that, but I am. And I just didn't want to open up to the world and be vulnerable in the way of them. Now they get to know me. Now they get to actually respond to me, and so on. So this was an area that was a struggle for me that I had to work very hard at. So with that said, to building your online presence, there needs to be consistency across your platforms. And again, whether it's your LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, your personal websites, your brand should be consistent across all platforms. And I know you've seen those people's platforms where they have a picture of their high school time maybe, and then they have a picture that is like 30 years aged. And I remember I met an individual through LinkedIn, and we're supposed to meet at Panera, and I rely on that picture on LinkedIn if I've never met them before to look for them in that Panera. Well, the picture this guy had, he had hair, and he did have a little bit of a beard. So I'm looking for someone with hair, with a little bit of a beard, and I'm looking around, and I kept seeing this person that kept looking at me like they're looking for me. I was like, that can't be the guy. He had hair, but it was him. So that's an example of what I mean by consistency across your platform, of the picture you're using, to your title, your company name, whatever that is. There should be some consistency in that.
That's the visibility aspect, Babiya.
Excuse me?
That's the visibility
Yes,
thing
that's
that,
yeah,
right.
visibility aspect of that, as well. Your tone too as well is important. And people always ask me, what do you mean by tone? Um, the wording that you're putting out there. Um, I'm trying to give an example of what I would mean by, I got to think about that, but it's the wording of how you're presenting yourself. I mean, if you're going to say you are the CEO and founder, then you need to say you're a CEO and founder, not just put I work for da 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 da. You know, just make sure what you're putting out there is displaying who you are, um, as a professional, basically on that. And a tip from this is developing a cohesive color palette or logo to visually tie your platforms together. So what I'm doing, like in my PowerPoint here, because One Degree Benefits is my company and gold and black is the colors, I'm like using that as the creativity of my PowerPoint, of showing me, my brand as well. So it can be memorable, because that's the other thing you want. You want it to be memorable for other people to remember who you are, what you do, and if they can even elaborate a description of you as well. So that's again going back to that, being from that invisible to influential person. You want to stick out, stand out, basically. Content creation and sharing. This was a struggle for me too. Thank God some of my vendors was able to give me content that I don't have to create it. So it's more of me selecting information. Now, what I've learned also to do is I don't want to talk all the time about insurance on my postings. Sometimes I change it up, and I may talk about more relatable social things. It could be sports, um, college football, or something that's relevant to the season, to the month, or whatever it is. So I may put that content out, which then people will read it, which I want them to open it up, and then hopefully they'll be curious, like, who is Babiya? Let me click on her and see who she is, what she's about, and so on. And that's a good way to kind of create a following, because maybe you're going to just highlight and talk about maybe about horses. I don't know, just anything random, but try to be consistent with that random. So don't be like, just this one time I talk about horses and then I want to talk about birds or something. But if you're consistent with the randomness that you're posting, that can be engaging to the audience as well, because you're not going to attract everyone, but you may attract a particular audience that loves birds. But then you may put in there a posting about it's Breast Awareness Month, as an example, which is going to be relatable to insurance in my industry, about, oh, let's talk about the cancer plan and so forth. So what you're trying to do is attract consistency, that they're going to look and read more consistently any articles, any videos, any blogs, and so on, in your content creation and sharing. So again, it doesn't always have to be industry-like of what you do, but it could be something that you have passion about, or something fun on that end, to kind of make random, consistent content of interest for people. Anyone have any ideas and thoughts of what they do for their business, or what they post or create or share, or just want to share?
I love it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love this advice on being consistent in your content creation and having it be loosely related to each other. I often post about either community events that have to do with the tech industry, or
Mm-hmm.
I post very often about career advice or recruiting advice or different kinds of things in that space. But because of
Yes.
how things link up, I can also make posts and comment about either the interviewing stages or how companies are planning their headcounts or how markets do X, Y, and Z and how this is. And I can be a confident voice in that regard, but I'm not going to I very much keep in mind your advice here of not overstepping or posting random things about things I have nothing to do with. Like
Yes.
if I started posting about some like random tech widget that I'll never use, it would be really off brand for me, even though I might be talking about it with one of my students or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm not a subject matter expert in that area. I don't, other than saying, hey, this looks cool, I don't really have much to contribute to that conversation, and it might confuse the people that are following me in
Uh-huh.
that regard. So I love this advice here
Mm-hmm.
about thought leadership, because I think a lot of times when people set out into the space, they want to be a thought leader about everything, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't be an expert at everything. Like that,
Yeah.
I think that's an important pill for a lot of people to swallow, is that like taking that deep breath and saying, hey, I don't have to be an expert at everything. It's okay. It's okay. I can
Yes.
take a deep breath and just focus on my one or two spaces.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like to hear
I,
from others.
I mean, one of the things, all of you are at Zettabytes.Today's, virtual lunch and learn today. One of the things that we do for our brand, we have pretty much streamlined which social channel we are going to use, because I think some of the content is relevant and very
Okay.
specific to the channel, right?
Yes.
And we have used everything else, but we saw most of our engagement happens on LinkedIn, because after
Okay.
all, we are a networking association for LGBTQ professionals. So LinkedIn is our natural choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of measure the engagement, at least initially we were doing that. We keep the community involved in the sense that, they may not be in tech or
Yes.
data or design, which is our, in focus group, but every organization has tech. And if we can focus on the LGBTQ part of it,
Yes.
so like Stonewall Columbus, Black Trans Men of Ohio, there are Equitas Health, there are these different service providers and different groups. We highlight them
Okay.
because we know, everybody has tech in their organization. If we
Uh-huh.
promote them, then, people who belong to those organizations will come to our events.
Yep. That makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
that whole
Intentional.
cross-pollination, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm reading here on your tip is be very intentional in how to engage.
Yes. Perfect. Love this engagement. All right. So personal website and portfolio. This is like your digital business card, basically. And again, it should include a biography, not so much a resume, but I put that on there because depending on how your the verbiage is on that resume, on your website or portfolio of work. Testimonials are very good. Again, that's bringing back that thought leadership again, leaders, people who are validating you of who you are, what you do. And contact information is key. If putting an email on there, some people do put a phone number on there, but make it easy for them to be able to contact you for further information about you, or how can I have a meeting with you, whatever that could be. And again, your website is giving you credibility again, because it's almost like your digital business card as well. So that's very important that it's up to date with information, because I don't know, and I know all of you have seen it, where you look up someone and it's not up to date of their contact information, of where they're employed at, or what have you on that case. So I did put a tip on here about, a blog to showcase your expertise and thought leadership in your niche is a good idea of putting on your personal website as well. And some do a very good job. I'm not there yet, but there's some that do a good job of being very relevant on what they're blogging and showcasing there, that you can every time you're on their website, there's something new that they have there of information. Next thing will be for leveraging your social media. And this is, you kind of touched a little bit on this for me, Rini, and that was what the platform should be used for that you have. So LinkedIn is for professional networking. Twitter is for sharing insights, and Instagram or YouTube, if your work is more visual or media driven, those are the places to house those in. Social media platforms can also help you participate in discussions, as some of you have said, within your industry, and even connect with other influencers and peers. I know I follow some people as well, or I may like their things, and sometimes I may repost someone else's information and add my own thoughts about that too as well. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And most of those individuals are not minding that because you're expanding their network too that way as also as well. So those are easy things to do. Again, if you're not trying to create any content, that you can reuse other people's content and put some feedback on there to add on. I do that a lot. And I love it. The other area we're going to talk about next here is networking and visibility. And this is, again, like I said, with the social media that I hated to do and resisted, networking was one that I, in the beginning, hated. In fact, I always thought networking was just made of people passing business cards and talking accolades. That was it. I had no means of, no likeness of doing this, but I knew in my industry it was a must that you must do. And the funny part is my Matt told me, Babiya, the one thing you're good at, you may suck in selling, but you are approachable, you are likable, and you really do network. You just don't know you're doing that. It's a natural thing for you.
Here's a story I will share on behalf of Lisa.
Okay.
One day, Lisa told me, we need to talk to Babiya Polk. And I said, who's that? And she said, how come you don't know Babiya? Everybody knows Babiya. Right, Lisa?
I appreciate that.
I mean, yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. But ever since then, we've been very well connected, have we not, Ricky and Lisa?
We have indeed.
Okay. So active networking. Networking is about building mutual beneficial relationships. That is the key. I'm telling you, to this day, especially in my industry, a lot of people, when they go to networks, they're just ready to give you business cards. What do you do? Hey, I want to contact you. Let's meet up. Da, da, da. And they just start spilling away talking about, not even about themselves, about what they do. And that is a turnoff. No one's there to just hear about what you do all the time. Now, if they ask, then of course, but I don't make it the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I really try not to do that. Get to know who you're in front of. You want to build that relationship. So again, networking, you could be doing it through your industry specific conferences, events, seminars, whatever that could be. And a lot of times, some of my network has nothing to do with those people in the room, may not even be my target. And that's okay, because I'm a believer that when you meet someone, you don't know what they can do, offer, refer, you have no idea. And usually it's the least expected person you think is probably going to be the best beneficial person of a relationship you have. I'm a believer of that. So with the networking, you just need to be active and consistent when you are networking. What I do, and a lot of times I present a lot to some of the new agents on the AFLAC side, and I say to them, don't ruin the brand. You are representing thousands of people in your industry, and you could ruin it easily for the next person who's trying to do it right. So I always say that you got to think about that. When you're out there, you're representing not just yourself, but thousands of other people in your industry as well. So do it well the first time if you can, on that end. Big thing is a 30-second elevator pitch is what you need to try to hone. And I gave you some examples from the previous screens of, pretty much find something that's going to interrupt them, and like for me, always, I don't want to say I'm an insurance agent. That's boring. I usually say I help companies retain, attract. I help companies with their bottom line by offering optional solutions that can help with retaining and attracting. If it's being compliant, and I like to use the big word, mitigate risks. I help mitigate risks. And most people say, how do you do that? And then that's when I go into my spill. So that's going to be a key about when you're networking. Try to hone that elevator pitch and change it up depending on who you're with. One good thing I do a lot of times, and this takes more of practice doing it organically, when I go to a networking group, and especially where they give you name tags, I always like to scan to see who else is there, because usually you can see the name tags, and I'd like to scan and say, oh, I see such and such is there. And I usually will say it out loud because the people behind the desk sometimes will hear you and be like, oh, you know that person? And I may say, no, not really. Is there a way you can give me an opportunity to introduce me to that person? I've always wanted to meet this person, So you can do things like that to kind of engage an opportunity to be introduced to someone. And it's better to be introduced to someone than you actually approaching them. Because then when they see someone else is introducing you, it's almost like, oh, you know this person. They will listen probably longer and even engage with a conversation with you with interest. So building relationships is not about collecting business cards, as I said. It's about fostering those long-term meaningful relationships. Take time to know people, offer value if you can. And I don't care if that value is, if it's like, oh, you like to drink coffee and you've seen them drink coffee. Have you ever checked out this place? Just if it's small talk, it's small talk. It's better than just talking about yourself or talking about what you do on that end. So my tip for this is follow up on personalized messages after meeting new contacts or leave a lasting impression. So normally what I do is connect with them on LinkedIn. Hey, it was great talking to you. Hopefully we can meet you again at the next event, or, oh, if you like that event, I'm going to another one similar to this. You want me to pass along some information about it? Try to carry on that conversation if you can. It's going to be the key. Collaborating with others, and I do that a lot. I do that with Rini, I do that with Lisa. Those are key things about collaborating, because it does broaden your reach. And I like to be a raving fan for Rini and Lisa as much as they are a raving fan for me, So I'm about that. I will rave of anyone that I have gained a relationship with. That is the key. You want to be a raving fan to others as much as you want them to be about you. Okay. Cross promote each other. I do that a lot. When I see speaking opportunities or something, I may say, hey, Rita, you might like this. I know the person, I can make an introduction. Do those type of things because you want to stay relevant in their mind too as well. So that when they're out and about talking to people, whatever, they could remember, man, I remember when Babiya said that she can help a small business that is in this situation. Tell stories about what you've done to help people. Those are easier to remember than remembering what you actually do. Give examples. That sticks a long way for people.
I think that this, sorry to interrupt you, but
Alrighty.
I think this is like a very important part of networking, like completely unrelated things where you're connecting people, which has nothing to do with your business. Like I'm at a meeting and somebody is going on and on about, having some accounting issues and needs a new accountant. It has nothing to do with my business, but I will then volunteer. Hey, I can send you some names, with the, here are some accountants that I can send you some names for.
Yeah.
And even for people who are getting into the business, and not so experienced and may not have that many connections, I think that is finding ways where you're not just cross promoting, but you're giving them, some help
Yep, some
where they
value.
are, right? Making
Yep,
yourself useful in that way, which has completely nothing to do with what you do. But I
exactly. And
think
that's
that
the
gives the
key.
visibility, right?
Yes, that is the visibility again, because you want to be that go-to person for such and such and such. Oh, go to Rini. Rini um, had gave me a recommendation for such and such and such. She
Right,
probably can give one for you too as well.
right.
It's that go-to that you're wanting. Yeah, but you're right. That's bringing visibility again to you. The other thing will be, and this is what I'm doing as my check off my list thing, public speaking and guest speaking. I think most of you have done that in this, that have attended, that I see the names of. I think this is a key of, again, your personal brand. And yes, I'm speaking about something that has nothing to do with insurance. Absolutely. But I love speaking about this. This is like my passion. I love to help and share my knowledge and experience so that it can help you grow and expand your brand and your personal brand. So this is another way of marketing you and marketing your company, marketing what you do, what you serve. This is a way to get your name out there. And again, visibility is the key.
And here too, I think you've mentioned two things. One is, like podcasts or, webinars. The other one is writing. So, Robin has been very, very quiet all this time. But what you need to know about Robin is that she's a journalism major. And the first time I heard that, I said, okay, she's doing all our writing, you know? And she writes,
Okay.
she maintains our blog. I mean, I think, everybody has their own strength. Some people like to,
Yes.
do the talking. Some people like to
Yes.
do the writing. So
Yes.
everybody has to find something.
Mm-hmm.
Robin, you want to add?
So, I was a journalist in a past life. That was my first occupation, but I've been in IT for a little over 25 years. But no, I enjoy that kind of thing, writing blogs, writing little pieces. So that worked out for me in Zettabytes.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the
Thank you.
key. And that goes when talking more, knowing someone more, you get to learn more about the other things they may not promote about themselves, so to speak. This will be my last topic, I believe, to the questions, and that's maintaining and involving your brand. So I think I have about 6 slides left here. So maintaining and involving your brand. And in this area, again, and again, I repeat this about staying current, staying relevant is a key here about you and your brand, because industries do evolve, so you may have started making, I can remember during the COVID times where a lot of the industries were just doing product branding, clothing branding, and they had to flip around and start doing masks during the COVID time as an example. So sometimes what your brand may have been then may change of what is currently happening. And it could be a permanent thing or it could be a temporary thing. But again, sharpening your skills, attending workshops, earning certifications, I think that's very key. Promoting those certifications or new skills that you have gained is something to post as well, because that could send a red flag to someone like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to talk or get back with her about this and this and that. So that's a way to gain organically being relevant to your industry that you have. Reassessing your brand. This is common for some of you that sometimes you may have to look over your brand in a couple years or so to make sure it's still relevant to the goals the values and the target audience that you are reaching, because it could change based on the clientele that you have, that now I need to reassess how my brand is looking. So maybe that's the clientele I need to start growing more of, since I'm gaining those type of clienteles. So conducting a brand audit every year to see what's working and what needs improvement is good. And sometimes it may need another set of eyes or feedback from someone else to say, hey, what do you think about how I'm branding myself now? Is it matching of who I'm, what I am, and what I'm doing? Adaptability, and that's more of growing in your career. Your personal brand should evolve with you. And again, like I said, don't be afraid to ask about refining your message from other people. Be flexible about it, but you also want to maintain that authenticity. Again, you don't want to look too cookie cutter branded, so to speak. And again, it's reflecting you, about your skills, about who you are, what makes you tick of that brand. So my last two slides is going to talk about some key takeaways that I pretty much was overviewing through my whole presentation. Clearly define what makes you unique. And again, that's hopefully going to be prevailing in your elevator pitch or speech, however you want to call it. And that universal value proposition, which I call the UVP, of trying to hone that down. And it's going to take practice. I remember in the beginning, I think I've saved some in my folder. I have pitches from 6 years ago that I look back and like, oh, I remember when I used to say that. You know, and I keep those because I share them with other people in my industry that are just starting out. You know, I like to share what I've done, and then they can hone it to what makes comfortable for them to message. You know, because sometimes you have to change it up so it's about you saying it authentically on that end. Strong online presence is a key to being consistent on your social media posts, up to date on your website. Become an invaluable member to your groups. Mentoring is another key thing. I do mentor as well for Dress for Success, because I think it's important that our younger population, and even those starting early in their career, that they have experienced mentors. So this is another way of branding yourself too, as well as being a mentor as well, and being a thought leader in whatever that is that you want to hone down to as well. And then if there's any questions that anyone has, I'm open to those remarks. And I do have my contact information down below there. And I'm assuming these slides are going to be on your site, that people want to look at them in a better way they can. And I don't mind sharing them at all. Any
Yes,
questions?
what we do typically for everybody attending and anybody who has registered, we will
Yes.
send you both the link to the YouTube video, because we recorded this, and so
okay.
this will go into an YouTube video, and also your slide thing.
Okay, thank you.
The YouTube link, we will share it also on LinkedIn.
Okay,
But
great.
the slides will only go out to people who registered. You know, that gives people incentive to register. So
Understood. All right. Any
Denise,
questions,
questions?
comments?
Sorry.
Let me see if I can stop sharing.
Okay.
There we go.
Lisa, Jane, Jen, Andrea, Sean. I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Andrea. I'm with Healing Without Limits. I wanted to just say that Babiya did a fabulous job. You wouldn't have known that this was your first time, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this has just been excellent, excellent information. As a small business owner myself, you know, a lot of the things you've shared has been things that I've had to work on, and you also just share some other things to keep in mind and keep at the forefront. So just wanted to say you did great, and thank you for the good information.
I appreciate you attending and thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I realized I'm not on camera either, so.
Sean,
Hello,
are
hello,
you?
Bobby. I just
Hi,
want to say I
Sean.
am. What's going on? I'm currently working as well, but I thank you for this presentation, Bobby. You did an amazing job. I myself, Bobby is a great friend of mine, and I learned so much from her throughout the years. I myself have a small business as well, more independent services. We are an insurance agency, and the things that Bobby have been doing and helping others is amazing. So I appreciate this platform to learn more skills I can put in my toolbox. So thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Sean.
Anyone else? Take
I
it
don't
away,
think so.
Mr. Vinny.
I was going to say, Bobby, I thank you for a wonderful presentation. I learned so much about brand presence and brand identity from this. So I personally thank you, but from all of our folks here and all of our Zeta stars out there, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
And thank you all for attending today. That's it. We won't keep you any longer, but thank you so much. If you want to review this video, it will be posted to our YouTube here shortly. And then if anybody would like to become a Zeta star, feel free to check out our website at Zettabytes.Today. I hope you all have